plagued by high unemployment rates and poverty, while many municipalities in the province find themselves in financial dire straits. Eastern Cape schools are ranked the worst in the country, with mud schools and pit toilets still a reality for many learners in 2019. So what plans do competing parties have to secure a cross on the ballot paper from the more than 3.3 million registered voters in the province? Stand by now for eNCA political editor Vuyo Mvoko.
From the Nangoza Jebe Community Hall in Nelson Mandela Bay, welcome to eNCA's third election debate. My name is Vuyo Mvoko and I'll be your host for this conversation.
And I'm Alden St. Pierre, coming live to you here where we have representatives of different political parties as well as those who represent the 3.3 million people who are registered to vote in these elections. 26 political parties are vying for their votes. But very important, Vuyo, I think, is for the dire state that this province finds itself in, who must shoulder the blame?
Well, let me introduce you now to the people. The various political parties we invited have chosen to come and represent them in this debate. The governing party in the Eastern Cape, the ANC, is represented by Thabo Matuane. The Democratic Alliance's premier candidate is Ngaba Banga. The Economic Freedom Fighters. From the Economic Freedom Fighters, we have Yoliswa Yako. Mawandla Gogo is representing the United Democratic Movement. And from the Congress of the People, we have Siyasanga Sijadu. Well, to kick off today's debate, I'm going to give each of our panelists a maximum of 2 minutes to sell their party. I'll start with the ANC.
Vuyo, thank you and good morning. Thank you for the opportunity you have given us. When we took over this government in 1994, we inherited a very bankrupt state. At the core of our responsibility was to develop a macroeconomic stability. Today, we should not shy away and celebrate the achievement that we have done. 6 out of 10 schools are no-fee schools today. That's why the voters continue to choose the ANC. 36% in 1994 had access to electricity. Today, we have got 83% that has access to electricity. Further, in 1994, only 3 million people had access to social security. Today, we've got 17.5 million that have access to social security. Further, in 2014 alone, we rolled out 2.4 million beneficiaries on ARVs. Today, we've got 4.2 people enrolled on ARVs, marking with the biggest country in the world to have rolled out. That's a great achievement. As part of espousing and pushing and progressing our program to accelerate housing delivery, we built 4 million housing opportunities, housing almost 14 million people. In this province alone, we've built about 59,000 housing opportunities. In Nelson Mandela, over the last 3 years, we've built 4.795 houses in this space, in this region, in Nelson Mandela. Further, in 1994, only 54% of our people were able to read and write. Today is 94.3%. That is a good story to tell. The history can be written by all of us together. Over these achievements, with a bright future that we can shape together. We intend to do the following.
Thank you very much. Ngaba Banga.
Thank you very much, Vuyo. You can look at this wall, that the only party that serves all South Africans is only the DA. If you look into the crowd here, that in the DA crowd, you have black people, you have colored people, you have white people, because we believe that parties that can lead South Africa are parties that can lead all South Africans. Vuyo, I can tell you, the two of us yesterday, we were in this hall. In this hall yesterday, we buried an honorable man, a man of honesty, Ayanda Ngutu, a man who taught us principles, and who said to us, we must fight against corruption. The DA's first pillar is going to fight against corruption. In this city alone, more than 25 million rand was stolen in Milongane, in cleaning in this city, was stolen by the ANC and the UDM. And what we have done about it is that we made sure that the Hawks are investigating them. For the first time in this city, that the mayor's office will be raided because we have a corrupt mayor here. We expelled him because we're stopping corruption. Some of the people who are sitting here, they have stolen millions and millions of rand. A 21 million rand of a grain haze, where more than 20 people were assassinated within the last 6 months here because of an irresponsible government who wanted to distance us for patronage, and our people are dying. And as a DA, we have stopped it, we have reported it to the president, the SIU, they are being investigated. We stop corruption. We want to build an honest and professional police because we believe Xavier Janssen in Helen Vale and Nisha Brooks, the children, they died because this government and his government, Tabo's government.
His time is up, sir. Yoli Swayako.
Thank you, Vuyo. The EFF manifesto is the EFF of the people. It's the manifesto of the people. It speaks on land and jobs now. The manifesto of the EFF understands that our people are sitting hungry now. Our people don't have jobs now. Our people are living impoverished now. Our people are victims of crime now. The EFF manifesto is the manifesto of the people that speaks to creating land for our people, creating opportunities for our people to build industrialization and build state capacity. It is the manifesto of the EFF that has done work in the 6 years the EFF has been in government, where we tabled a motion through Parliament that seeks to have Section 25 of the Constitution amendment. Yes, it is the manifesto of the EFF that has done work in the 6 years that we have been running. We have been at the forefront of making sure we get our land back, making sure that land, knowing that land is the way that will bring dignity to our people. It is the manifesto of the EFF that seeks to have solutions that will build industrial capacity. It is the manifesto of the EFF that will build state capacity, making sure that we are capacitating our people and we're not outsourcing our power as the ANC government has done. It is the manifesto of the EFF that makes sure that we will have economic zones in each and every province in this country. It is the manifesto of the EFF that understands that our people need to be given the opportunities to run their own country, to run their own land. Our people need not sit down and wait for jobs to be given to them. We want to create capacity for our people, understanding that for too long, that capacity has been outsourced to white monopoly capital by the ANC. That is what the EFF is doing. So we stand firm in saying we want land, we want jobs, and we want them now.
Thank you very much. Mabanta Gogo.
The United Democratic Movement, in its election manifesto, has identified the following: that we say if the people of South Africa, on the 8th of May, as we urge them to vote for us, we promise clean government in all spheres of government. We promise better healthcare services. We promise that there will be world-class education in South Africa. We promise that in South Africa, in the rural areas, there will be a special focus on rural development, with a special focus on rural agricultural economy. We'll fight crime, using more police, deploying more police, and training more police officials in various areas. We are saying we'll make South Africa to be investor-friendly, so that investors can come and invest in South Africa, so that these much talked about jobs can be realized. The UDM is also saying in areas where the chiefs or traditional leaders are in charge, we need to empower traditional leaders to be able to decide issues of development in their areas. They must not be sidelined, they must not be marginalized. Whenever there's development coming, they must work together with deployed councillors in those areas for the betterment of the people. As we see at the present moment, traditional leaders are on the sidelines. They are not part of the development that goes to. And in the Eastern Cape, we are saying agriculture must be a special focus because we do not have mines where we would employ people like Gauteng and other provinces. Those are areas that we say the UDM will focus on. Also on the issue of crime and unemployment, nepotism that we see in government.
Thank you very much, sir.
Saying,
thank you very much. Siasanga.
Thank you very much, Vuyo, and a good morning to everyone. Firstly, the Congress of the People says to the people of South Africa, the problems we face today stem from one thing, deviating from the constitutional rule and rule of law. We are regressing currently, Vuyo, as a country because people who are in positions of power want to segregate us on the basis of race, gender, and all other things that divide people. Now, the Congress of the People says to the people of South Africa, do not be distracted by demagogues. Do not be distracted by populists. Do not be distracted by the land issue. Do not be distracted by them saying that they're going to amend Section 25 of the Constitution, because we know they are not. They just want to pacify the EFF. What will happen in a government of the Congress of the People is that we'll be united as a country, black, white, colored, Indian, and other races that are within this country. We are one country that has one future for everyone. And we need to know that. In the past, Vuyo, we've always been divided on the basis of things that are trivial, things that we cannot change. But going forward, such things will not matter. And we need to have strategies in place to ensure that we move forward as a country. Now, here's what the Congress of the People says. The Congress of the People says to the people of South Africa, we need a fresh start. We need a government that is accountable. We need health care for our people. Health care that is not what we're currently receiving. It is the saddest thing to go to a clinic and not find medical care when you need it. It is the saddest thing to go to a police station and not be able to report a crime because the police are just as corrupt as the criminals themselves.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Now, I'm listening to all of you talking about what your parties are offering. But of course, there is a history and a context within which this debate and the election that we'll all be participating in on the 8th of May will be taking place. There's also the optics, as some people prefer to call them. And I'm going to start with you, Siasanga. When COPE burst onto the scene, you were the it guys, especially here in the Eastern Cape. People had a lot of hope that there could be an alternative to the ANC. But as you know, over the past 5 years, people seem to have lost a great deal of confidence in your party. Now, when you started to think about what you will be saying to the people of South Africa this time around, did you look at yourselves and say, what did we do wrong?
Thank you, Vuyo. Precisely, Vuyo. We did look at ourselves. Our history as the Congress of the People is well documented. We have a history of fighting corruption even inside our own party. When we were infiltrated by corrupt elements as the Congress of the People, we said we will fight tooth and nail to ensure that corruption is rooted out even within our party. We were not going to remain with people who are corrupt, who have tendencies of the ruling party, who do not want to see a united South Africa, who want to even divide us within the party and create factions. We were not going to allow that as a party. What we rather said was, these people must go, COPE must cleanse itself, and COPE is currently cleansing itself, and now we are saying, that's why we're saying we need a fresh start. We realize that even ourselves as the Congress of the People need a fresh start, and now we are ready to deliver that fresh start to the rest of South Africa.
Okay.
And I think that's where we are as the party.
Mabandla Gogo, the same goes for you. Great deal of hope when Rolf Meyer and Bantu Olomisa came together to form this party in 1999. But so many years later, you aren't even where you were when you started, a shadow of your former selves. What happened?
First point, Vuyo, is that we have been struggling with resources as an organization. And the coverage by the media, both print and electronic media, has been portraying the UDM as an organization of an individual, which is not the case. Because when you go around the street, people ask you a question: who is the deputy president of the UDM? Who is the secretary general of the UDM? And we do have those people. Ngabayam Zikwangwa is the deputy president. Ebongani Msomi is the secretary. The list goes on. But the media simply chooses to focus on Bantu Olomisa, thereby portraying a wrong image that the UDM is a one-man party. And also,
very rich of you to blame the media for that. No, wait.
And also, let me finish. And also the issue of the floor crossing. The floor crossing actually did a big damage to the UDM.
But it did that to a lot of political parties.
No, but it dealt a big blow to the UDM because a lot of members of parliament left to the ANC, and financially that became a loss to the organization. So that was one of the reasons why the UDM could not perform well. You see now, I'm happy. When you go around South Africa, because of the Bosasa scandal, you do not see a billboard of the ANC. All of us are struggling. All the political parties. That where the ANC used to get money in the Bosasa company, it is now no longer that they're no longer receiving that money.
So, okay.
And all the parties are struggling now.
The media floor crossing is responsible for where the UDM is. Yoliswa, you know, I know, everybody here knows that your party was built by individuals who came from the ANC. And before they left the ANC, they were begging, literally begging to be kept within the ANC. Only when the doors were closed did Julius Malema, Floyd Shivambu, and others decide to go and form an alternative party. So you are indeed a child of the ANC's problems, aren't you?
No. You cannot run away from the fact that the CIC, the Deputy President, and many others have come from the school of thought of the ANC. Ngaba Banga here next to me has come from the ANC. But when something does not work, when it does not work and it seeks to only benefit a few, and when there is deep corruption within the party, and when you call out that corruption and you are kicked out, what is then the alternative? We thank the CIC, we thank Deputy President for forming a party that seeks to liberate the black people of this country. Now we are talking about land. Now we are instituting and we are amending Section 25 of the Constitution because of the leaving of CIC and the Deputy President. So because of them, we are grateful for them leaving the ANC because it is corrupt. As we speak now, we are sitting with debt, we are sitting with poverty, we are sitting with lack of jobs for our people because of the institutional culture of the ANC, which is to loot and to create corruption amongst our people. We have not built industrial capacity because it has outsourced its power because it wants to benefit only for a few in the ANC. So we are grateful that the CIC and many others have started the EFF, because through the EFF, the voice of the youth is there. Through the EFF, the voice of the black man is there. And most importantly, where black women have now a voice to speak and say, we are now the marginalized. We are the most marginalized. We are raped. We are killed because of structural and societal issues that are created because our people do not have the simple dignity to have just jobs, to create employment for themselves, and to be dignified.
Thank you very much. Ngabapanga, I want you to tell me that it is not about you. As she correctly pointed out, you were in the Congress movement, moved to COPE, and you are now with the DA. As one was watching you in the big van from where you are running your campaign, is this not about Ngabapanga?
Oh, thank you.
Is this not about individuals? Well, I was listening to you earlier talking about Mongameli Bobani, for example. You were fine with Mongameli Bobani when he was in coalition with you. But you are now criticizing him now that you are no longer, he's no longer your coalition partner.
Vuyo, yesterday, on Tuesday, my last council, I gave them a lecture about two great individuals in this city, Raymond Shaba and Govan Beki. And people who taught us good lessons about building a very united nation. And I was saying to them, the ANC government have broken everything that Govan Mbeki and Raymond Shaba were built. They have put up a government who have not only looted, but a stolen government who have stolen from the people. Even that former mayor who sits there and shouting today, he stole from the people here, not learning from those lessons. I could not associate myself with people who steal from the poor. What we want to do for the DA, in the Western Cape alone, we have created last year more than 95,000 jobs in South Africa, out of 155 jobs, out of 8 provinces. The only province that created job opportunities for everybody was the Western Cape. And the DA have an offer, and wherever we go, we deal with corruption. We make sure that those who steal from the poor, we make them accountable, and we have made it to Zuma. When they watch Zuma for years, we made sure that the charges against the President of the Republic, Zuma, get account. Now Zuma is no longer a president. Therefore, as a DA, we want to tell South Africans that it is the only party that does not look at race. It looks into all South Africans and serves all South Africans.
Thabo Matiwane, I listened to you going through a long list of the ANC's achievements over the past 25 years. And I said to myself, well, very interesting. But what is even more interesting for me is that in spite of all that you said here in the 2 minutes you had earlier, in spite of everything that you said, over the years, the ANC has seen this steady decline. And a couple of years ago, you lost the biggest municipality in this province, the Nelson Mandela Bay Metropolitan Municipality. What do you think went wrong? What have you done wrong that you are prepared to admit to before you can convince the people of this province and of this country to vote for you on the 8th of May?
Thank you. Over the last 5 elections, the voter of Nelson Mandela, the voter of Govan Mbeki has given his confidence to the ANC for the following reasons. The ANC has ability to self-correct. The ANC has ability to renew itself. The key pillars of renewal, albeit all the challenges that we have experienced, we have committed to renew our organization. We have committed to do what is right for our people. We have built schools. We have retained a program of health and education as our national key priority programs. We have built housing. We've established new settlements here in Nelson Mandela, Joe Slovo West,
I hear you, but my question was, you've said all of this. You've said everything you've just said now, earlier. What are you prepared to admit to? Why is it that seemingly South Africans, in spite of your gains that you have just claimed, they continue to leave your party or not to vote for it? Have you looked at yourselves and said, perhaps this is why people no longer have the kind of confidence we would have wanted them to have?
We've taken a deep look at ourselves.
And what did you find?
What we found is that there is an opportunity for us to correct the wrongs that we have done over the past few years.
What are those wrongs?
Those wrongs, in the last 4 years, some of the wrongs that we have committed is lack of ability to account for what we have done to our people, to communicate often to the electorate. When we're doing something for them, we do with them. When we're committing to renew, we've got a responsibility to always say, to take the voter with us. That is what we have done. We admit and we're clear. Our commitment to renewal is undeterred. We're clear. The president has started the program last year alone of raising 1.4 trillion worth of investment to show our commitment towards the economy. This province alone, out of that, benefited 6.4 billion of that investment, to show that we have a resolution, a commitment to deliver to that voter who has continuously voted for us. Those who are leaving us, there's still time to come back home. There's still time to vote for the ANC. We're affording ourselves in front of them to say to them, your organization, the organization of Nelson Mandela, is committed to renew itself, is committed to provide jobs, 265,000 jobs in the next 2 years. That we seek to provide. We are committed, to ensure that we deliver to that voter.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we've only scratched the surface. We're going to take a quick ad break. This debate continues in a moment. from the Nelson Mandela Bay in the Eastern Cape. Alton St. Pierre is down with the people, and he'll be talking to some of the political parties that could not be here on this podium. As everyone knows, we have 48 political parties taking part in this election. Aldrin?
Well, yes, we have 48 political parties that are contesting the national elections, but 26 political parties that are vying for the votes of the 3.3 million people who are registered in this province. And one of those political parties is the PAC. I'm going to ask now Ubasi Kamano to come and join me. Babasi, please come and join me to just tell us quickly about what it is that the PAC is offering. And here's the other thing that we need to understand is that this is one of those political parties that have always been there since the dawn of democracy. But is the PAC still relevant?
We need to start for being excluded in the debate. It was deliberate, and for the elections to be free and fair, all political views should be represented. We of this PAC, on the question of the land, which is the source of economic freedom, we are saying the land should be restored to its rightful owners. And also, it is an admission that the 1994 land settlement was not correct. Hence now, people are speaking about the land. Each and every political party that wants to be relevant in South Africa, it has got to speak land. Land. You know what? The PAC started to say that land first, all shall follow. We are saying, we of this PAC, land expropriation without compensation will never return the land to its rightful owners. It is only land restoration of the land that can bring back the land to its rightful owners. Because land expropriation basically means it recognizes the blood-stained title deeds of the white people who are owning the land as legit documents. So then it is a misnomer.
But listen, here's a quick one though. Hasn't that bus left already? Because now it has been agreed that Section 25 of the Constitution will be amended with what you've spoken about now as well. That is land expropriation without compensation. So that bus has left, right?
There is wisdom from listening. Here, I'm saying that land expropriation will never return the land. It is only land restoration or land repossession that can return the land. You know, both on education, the PAC believes in a free education from kindergarten to tertiary level, whereby the education should be Afrocentric and solve the African problems, unlike this one, which is Eurocentric. That's why now we've got ingxaki zabantu abangakwazi usombulula ingxaki zalapha ekhaya. We want the education to solve the current problems. Now, the looters of VPS, the looters of Bosasa, those people who collapse this country, they will never do that.
They will never do what?
They will never serve the interest of the country. Because now, currently, now on the question of land, in Mossel Bay, there's a gas company that has identified gas there. It is a foreign company. It is Total. Total is a French company. It will not serve the interest of African people. And we, the African people of this country, we owe the people of Koloboni a support, because the expropriation was the expropriation of the people, of the African people, to the Europeans.
Bob, come on, wait. Before you leave, earlier on this week, the IEC made an announcement about objections to people who are on the list, right, for MPs. It was rather embarrassing that your party objected to one of its own members, and how did Elton make it onto the list, knowing very well that he has a conviction?
We believe in a corruption-free country, hence corruption has to be exposed.
But how did he make it onto the list in the first place? Because that conviction was there before even the IEC made the announcement, or the president said when the elections would be.
He appealed against the conviction,
There's a conviction, that is the thing. And now the IEC has come to the conclusion and said that this person must be removed. It's actually your own party that said he must be removed. The question then is, why must you be trusted with the taxpayers' money?
We accept that because the PAC has never stolen any taxpayers' money.
Why must you be trusted when you include somebody on a list which the IEC has rules that said nobody who has a conviction of up to 12 months should be on the list?
Because we are very trustworthy. We are not going to steal the public purse. He's related.
Okay, I'm going to ask Chris Sepu. Chris Sepu is joining us from Azapo. Just quickly, Chris, tell us what exactly it is that Azapo is offering. And again, one of the questions is Azapo really relevant?
Thank you very much. Everybody in this country knows that we are the party of Steve Biko. We are not Johnny come late to the struggle. We have been here for black people. We have been defending black people. Even our manifesto is embedded on the defense and the restoration of the dignity of black people in this country. We are saying it is black people who are landless, and we have not joined the debate about land yesterday. And by the way, if we were in that panel, we would correct the false debate about repossession.
What's the debate? Tell us.
There is a false debate about repossession and expropriation. If we were to teach these panelists, you can only repossess when you are in a democratic state through the constitutional instrument of expropriation. So this is a false debate.
Okay, wait. So make me understand. So what Azapo is saying that it's against the amendment of Section 25 of the Constitution?
Not at all. We are saying we want our land from the bottom, from the minerals. We want to repossess everything. We will not pay a cent for it. But what we are saying is that there is no need to have qualms about amending the Constitution. We have got to overhaul the South African Constitution. It is not a reflection of African values. It's some Canadian concoction that does not serve us. This is why our kings are actually excluded from power. This is why King Dalindyebo is in prison today, because you do not recognize the traditional courts bill. So Azapo says we will restore the dignity of our people. You need to build decent houses, not lemikuku yakhelwa abantu bakuthi, in order to restore their dignity.
Okay, then thank you so much. Last one, the Socialist, the Workers' Party. And here's the interesting thing about this one, Vuyo, is that remember that during the local government elections, the National Union of Mine Workers threw its weight behind the United Front, which contested the local government elections. Kolisile, they didn't do well. Why would the Workers' Party do well, do you think?
First of all, I must just say to you, we are very disappointed that the Workers' Party didn't get an invite for this session of today. Maybe in the future you can correct that. Before I move forward, talking about the United Front, if we can all remember, United Front has only 4 months to campaign for a local government election. And United Front, according to our understanding, did do well in the local government election.
Where, how?
Chairperson of the session, United Front only campaigned 4 months, and then United Front have a seat in our local government elections. Only in 4 months. We were contesting with the political parties with 3 years, 25 years that were in power.
Here's the thing though, Kolisile, what you're saying, that you might make the same argument again, just after these elections, because you just recently launched this party. So after the elections, if the Workers' Party don't do well, you'd be saying that, but we just launched a couple of months before the elections.
No. It will not be like that. Because United Front, if we can remember, it was a movement. Everyone was welcome in the United Front, including EFF, ANC, UTM. All of them were there.
Just in closing then, just quickly tell us what you're offering the electorate.
Social Revolutionary Workers' Party, first of all, will do away with the corruption. when you are talking about the corruption in this municipality that we in now, this ruling party like your ANC is talking about building houses for our community part. If you can remember and go back, this municipality is no longer building houses for the communities of the Nelson Mandela Bay. The reason why ANC took that function to the province of the ANC, HDA is building houses for this municipality now. If we are talking about ANC and the DA, they both failed in this municipality. They are the two sides of the same coin.
Well, two sides of the same coin. Quite interesting that the Auditor General also found that this municipality is one of the worst performing when it comes to irregular expenditure. I think about 8.8 billion rand in irregular expenditure. And as he has indicated, that you have both the ANC that has governed this municipality before, then of course you had the coalition government, which was led by the DA, and now you have the UDM.
Okay, Alton, you know, in fact, you're reminding me of a report that was published a couple of years ago. Stats SA's poverty trends report said that the Eastern Cape was the poorest province in the country. That more than a third of the people of this province depend on grants to sustain themselves. ANC, are you proud of that record?
Well, the 2011 census would have shown South Africans that our equitable share has reduced by 19.8 billion because of the outward migration, people going to other provinces. Essentially what it means is that that big amount of money would have left the province, it would have developed. So the effects of development that have not happened over the years because of that formula which is used, but we're happy because the Minister of Finance has since said there is a need to always review and look at the formula in 2019, which will give us an opportunity for us to engage and argue our point, because development must happen in the Eastern Cape.
But two things arise of what you've just said. One, you're talking about a national government that is an ANC government.
Yes.
Which ought to have identified the issues that you're raising now. And then secondly, you're not speaking to a strategy that you then put in place to counter what you've been observing happening over the past 25 years. So the fingers really point back at you, don't they?
Well, we have got a development strategy for the province that would already has raised about 6.4 billion that will help us to develop our people in this province. But secondly, the provincial economy is anchored on automotive sector. Last year alone, that sector has created 9,500 employment opportunities for the Eastern Cape. On the agricultural economy, we've allocated money there to start and improve the eastern part of the province so that people can go back and produce maize, aquaculture, and everything else that will be produced as part of the agriculture value chain. So there is a program to develop the people of this province through the commitment that we've made through our strategy.
Abapanga, what are you putting on the table without criticizing the ANC? What are you putting on the table as the Democratic Alliance to deal with poverty in this province?
The first thing to give dignity to your people, Vuyo, is to make sure that in each and every home there is a job opportunity. If every person in each and every house gets a job opportunity,
where do they get these jobs and how?
Come again?
Where do they get these jobs and how?
Vuyo, look in this house. Every person who's here in this house today is supposed to be at work. In the Eastern Cape, I'm going to answer you that. In the Eastern Cape alone, 1.2 million people are unemployed. 700,000 people have even given up looking for jobs. What we're going to do, the money they always put to bail out SAA, ESCOM for corruption, we are going to take it and make sure that we create jobs for our people.
And then, okay, wait there. Then what happens to SAA?
we are saying as a DA, SAA has been a failed entity. It must be privatized. It must be shared with people. ESCOM must be divided into two, because ESCOM can't deliver light for us on a daily basis because the ANC have corrupted that. Therefore, as a DA, the money that continues to be stolen by these politicians who are sitting here and this politician who's sitting here, we are going to make sure that it does not go to the pockets of politicians. It goes into creative work. That's the only thing. South Africa has the capacity to create work and opportunity. But the money, ANC, Ace Makhashula, Zuma, Ramaphosa, Truposasa, they've stolen it from the poor and the people who sit here. As
So
a DA,
basically,
we're not going to steal that money. We're going to make sure that we create opportunities.
so
for our
basically, privatize state-owned enterprises, and with that money, you're going to create jobs. Is that what you say?
Let me explain this thing for you. The responsibility of the state is to facilitate a very conducive environment for investors and private sector to come and build business. The responsibility of the state is not to create jobs, but to make sure that these entities work and work for
But I
our
have asked you what it is that the DA is putting on the table. And all you've said so far is that you should take the money you're giving to SAA, privatize ESCOM, and you will create jobs.
Yeah, because look, if we bail out ESCOM, for the past 10 and 25 years, we've been putting billions and billions of rent to one entity that can't deliver lights to us. What we're saying as a DA, divide this and allow independent power producers to produce electricity to our people. It is not only going to allow the private, but individuals who can produce through solar systems and so on and sell that electricity to the national grid. That's what we're saying. SAA is not working. Privatize that entity. Don't continue to bail it out. Use that money in creating job opportunities.
How does the EFF, what is the EFF proposing? How do we deal with dire poverty in this province? More than a third of people having to depend on social grants, that's unsustainable. What do we do?
The EFF is clear, especially in the Eastern Cape. So I find it odd that Ngaba would speak about dignity for land when they don't want us to have land expropriation without compensation. So what we are saying as the EFF is that we want to instill dignity, proper dignity to our people through land use under the state. What the EFF is saying that it wants to give capacity to the industries. We have the ocean in the Eastern Cape. We have mines that have closed down in the Eastern Cape. We have so much more going for us in the Eastern Cape that we have not utilized in the last 25 years.
Cite examples for me.
Excuse me?
Cite examples for me.
Examples, I would say, we've got a harbor, but what does that harbor bring to us? Do we have schools that have maritime studies that are actually generated from a young age, from primary schools? We have mines that have closed down. We have factories that have closed down in Dimbaza, but they have not been utilized under the ANC because they've been let to run rampant and to rot. We are not utilizing what we have, which are the minerals, which are the resources, which are the people that we have in South Africa, in the Eastern Cape, that are willing to work, but are not being given capacity to do what they need to do. We have land. We have in OR Tambo, we've got so much growing. We've got so much more that is being done there, farming, but it's not being utilized to create massive capacity to give back to the same people, to give sustainable jobs to those people. So basically what we've created in the Eastern Cape is a state that is basically the people that are dependent on the state, the same state that is then looting for those people, the same state that is not giving back to those people, the same state that is actually not using education to empower our people. We've got the lowest levels of education in the Eastern Cape because it's as if since the people that had power were put in power, they don't care what our children do. They have no generational vision for the Eastern Cape.
The biggest budget allocation in the province actually goes to education.
It's never been used. Has that budget been used? Most of that budget goes back right back to the province or goes back to national.
How would you use it differently?
We want to build schools. We have outlined schools that we want to build across the province. We want to start at child childhood level, early development childhood level, to build capacity. We want to use the resources that we have to channel education towards such as agrarian studies, such as maritime spaces. We want to grow what we have in the Eastern Cape so that we can build generational wealth. We don't want to be the ones who are accused in the future of disadvantaging our children. We don't want to be the ones that have created corruption and a state of corruption in this province. We are sitting with a mess in the Eastern Cape, a terrible mess. And I'm appalled that the ANC is actually defending it and making promises 25 years after the fact. So it doesn't make any sense for the ANC to say anything about corrupt-free or any provinces because they've done nothing for us.
How is the UDM proposing to deal with poverty in this province?
We are saying one of the mechanisms that we will apply in dealing with poverty is clear job creation.
Yeah, but how? Let's be practical about it.
I'm coming to that one. It's key. The UDM is not pussyfooting on the issue of job creation. We are saying the state must intervene in job creation programs by actually giving money, train people in various fields, in the farming, that is agriculture, in a number of industries. To be able, you must make people to be able to be job creators, not job seekers all the time. That's one step. The second step insofar as job creation is concerned, the government we accept cannot employ everybody, but the government must create means so that investors are friendly, are free to come to your country to invest. If you go to Timbaza today, you go to Butterworth today, you go to Amtata today, all the factories that used to employ our people have been shut down. And those countries that must come, that must create a friendly environment for them to come and invest in South Africa, they will open those factories and people will go back to work. That is the duty of government. But if you have got electricity that goes off now and again, we have got a government that is moving from scandal to scandal, involving taxpayers' money, then investors will not come, then people lose jobs. But you must clean your government. That is why the UDM is clear on the question of clean government, because once you establish a clean government, then the people will be friendly to your country and jobs will come. You train people, particularly in a number of areas where they will be able to say, if a person is in the market selling fruits, the government must open markets for those people to sell the fruit they produce and then take it to other countries. Then that's money that will come and create jobs. By doing so, you are fighting poverty. It's not a question of theorizing. Practical steps. You have got youth that is unemployed, that are graduates that are sitting at home. But if you open workshops, now we have got electricity in rural areas. Why don't you open workshops and subsidize them as government, so that those youth are trained in civil engineering, electrical engineering? They go and work there and fix globes, fix electricity right in their own backyards. And then by doing so, we are creating jobs at a local level. That's what
they've spoken about factories, they've spoken about training, retraining. What does COPE think? How does COPE think we can really deal with the poverty issue in this province?
Can I just say, traditionally, as people of the Eastern Cape, we are not a hungry people. We have never been a hungry people traditionally because we used to work the land and feed ourselves. But because you have a government that did not have a vision post-1994, we are hungry now as a people.
What is your vision?
The vision for the country, for the Eastern Cape in particular, is a skills-based education system. For instance, if you do not know how to work the land, you will not be able to work the land. But if you are taught, given the skill, equipped with the skill, only then will you be able to work the land. So the Congress of the People is saying, give back people the skill, empower them. If you take Transkei, for instance, Ciskei, you look at what LL Sebe did. LL Sebe would empower the people of Ciskei by giving them tractors, by giving them seeds to plant by ensuring that irrigation is there. But post-1994, all of those things are not there. Our fields are laying there dormant with no one working the fields because they don't have the equipment to do so. So now Congress of the People is saying, give the people the equipment to do this, give the people the skill to do this so that they can work for themselves and not need you as the ANC to feed them. Because we are hard-working people. We are a hard-working people that just needs the equipment to do the job. That's all we need.
Well, Aldrin, we've heard what the leaders who are here deployed by their respective political parties have to say about how to address the poverty question, which is dire in this province. More than a third of people having to depend on grants. And as Stats SA told us a couple of years ago, this being the poorest province in this country. I think when we come back from this short ad break, I'm going to ask you to ask the people you are with down there as to whether they in fact agree with what the leading politicians here have had to say. That's coming up in a moment.
It is the moment of truth where you'll have different political parties and their supporters getting to ask the people who are on the podium different questions. I'm going to ask everyone to please come down. Everyone, please come down. ANC, guys. Please come down. Please come down. Okay, so this is what these debates turn out to be sometimes. People become so excited during these debates and everyone wants to have their voices heard. I guess this is what happens when you lead up to the elections, May the 8th. Everyone is trying to drown everyone else out. But can we please get a moment, guys? Please settle down. Please settle down, everyone. Please settle down. Okay. I hope you at home would be able to hear some of these questions that come through as well as the panelists over there. Can you guys hear me? Is the audio okay? Perfect. Okay, so we're going to try, and what I normally ask politicians to do is that when they speak during such an occasion, that they must try and use their rally voice. So you must drown out the people who are speaking. Bongani over here. Bongani, you want to speak about land?
Yes, because you are not going to be expropriating land through slogans. I wanted to ask the panel, what is the policy of each organization to deal with land expropriation without compensation, so as to curb the issue of land grabs in the metro, but also to combat Umatiwan, the policy of the ANC on the question of media freedom, because there is a perception there out there, and also what is it that we have done to ensure that we protect media independence and freedom? Those are the two questions I wanted to ask.
Okay then, perfect. I'm going to ask Mayor Florence to come forward. So we have Florence over here, and this has been an ongoing debate around especially people of the Khoisan community who feel that they are not being recognized. Florence, just tell us what your concerns are.
Yes, thank you. I'm Florence the First. I want everybody of you to listen there in front, especially the DA today. When you came into my ward, you disappoint us. You never built one house for us, is the coin. No jobs for us there. We don't want this EPWP jobs. And secondly, the national government, they took all our public those sewing and needlework out of our schools. Why? Our people are getting babies. They are in crime. What the hell is going on? I want to know. Why are you doing that to the Khoi people? Mr. Banda, you are going in for us. Please do the right thing when you go in. Help us there that the Khoi community can get in there. And there's so little colored people in jobs. Why? I want to know that. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Florence. And then we have Mxolisi here who wants to speak about, and this is a big issue in this province, of course, heavily industrialized. You have different factories that are based here. And one of the biggest concerns in this province is, of course, the issue around unemployment. If you look at the unemployment rate, which is higher than the national average, it stands around 34.5%. And Mxolisi's complaint here is the company that he's working for is shutting down and the company is retrenching.
Yes, good morning, good afternoon. I want to know, man, because we have got a problem in our company. Our company is DCD Wind Towers. It's a company responsible for building the wind turbines here in the Kucha Industrial Zone. That company, there's been an investment of 500 million rands in that company for it to function. Now that company has been idling for plus minus 3 years now because of the delays in the signing of power purchase agreements, the round 4. Now, when Minister Jeff Khatebe came into power, he signed those agreements together with the presidency and the whole Department of Energy. Now, after those power purchase agreements have been signed, our company now is retrenching us because apparently there are no jobs for us. Now we want to know, how is that possible that the PPAs that were delaying these companies to run whilst the country is endorsing the green energy, but now we are sitting back. And now the last straw that they are blowing to us is that they are retrenching us. As you can see, some of the members there at the back, of which I'm working with, they are holding placards trying to stop these retrenchments that we are getting. So we want to know, as the people that who are championing who are championing eradication of poverty and job creation in this country. How is it that you let such a big investment fall right under your nose?
Well, thank you so much, Mkolise. Edmund, can you just come forward quickly? He has a question around land, which of course has been a topical issue, but you want to specifically ask COPE what their position is on land.
Yes, yes, I actually wanted to ask the DA, but you redirected me to ask COPE. There's opinion out there that land expropriation without compensation will cause more hardships, will have a negative impact on the growth of the economy. So what is your stance as COPE? How do you feel about the land expropriation without compensation? Because we all feel it's a bad idea and it's not good for the country. I thank you.
But I think COPE agrees with you guys. Don't you guys have a similar policy on land?
I would like COPE to answer that question. Whether they agree, I hope they agree with us.
Okay, well, those are some of the questions. Savoy, it's over to you.
Okay, let's get some answers from the politicians that have been asked to come and represent their respective political parties here. A couple of questions on land. We don't want slogans. Give us in 30 seconds what it is that, as the ANC, what is your policy as the ANC?
The ANC supports land expropriation without compensation. We also support the review of Section 25. Essentially, what we're saying there is that Section 25, as in its current form in the Constitution, is ambiguous. We want Section 25 to be amended to give meaning on the conditions within which you are allowed to do expropriation without compensation. That's basically our main resolve around expropriation of land.
You haven't been able to demonstrate as the ANC what it is that you did with the laws that are at your disposal and all the instruments that came with it in the 25 years that we have been in power. Isn't that the question?
We've done land distribution in this country. But what we're saying this time around, we want to accelerate, increase land reform, radically change the status quo around land ownership so that we can grow the economy with the ownership patterns using the asset of land. What we're saying as the ANC, Section 25 must give conditions within which that expropriation can be done. That's basically our view. Secondly, that expropriation of land without compensation must not tamper with the economy. It must instead assist and support the economic growth of this country. That's the ANC.
Vuyo, the DA is a very unique party here. We are not and will never support land expropriation without compensation. You yourself, you know that we lived here in Port Elizabeth. All these people were renting their houses to the state. All these parties here want the state to own our own houses in order for us to rent to the state and lease to the state. The DA position supports land reform in this country. But our land reform says, don't give the land to the connected politicians. Give the land to the people who want to farm the land. The workers in farms who want to build farms. What has happened in this country, few officials in government, they got land. The money spent on land reform in this country, it's even less the money spent for VIP protection for bodyguards for this government. Because this one and that one, they are not committed on land reform. In the Western Cape, we have given land to the farmers and we've built up capacity to our people, put up partnerships that work. Therefore, we'll never support land reform.
Ngabapanga, residents of the Western Cape are no better when it comes to land reform than people from the rest of the country. There is hardly a difference between what people in the Western Cape are experiencing compared to what everyone else is experiencing in the rest of the country.
No, give facts. I'm telling you, the partnerships was worked in the Eastern Cape. I was working in the portfolio committee for forestry and agriculture. The president, the reports, the auditor general, statistics general, that the only land reform that works here in South Africa only happened in the Western Cape because We did not give land to friends. We did not give land to politicians. What we did, we empowered the workers in agricultural farms and give them the people who want to farm. What we want to do here, we want to make sure that the people who work even in urban communities, they get the land they're staying for. We give them title deeds. We've done that. The people in rural areas, they get the land to own the land. Because owning the land is very important. You can only do that if you have a title deed. More than 200,000 title deeds in the Western Cape have given to people, less than what is doing.
Expropriate without compensation, then do what?
Well, basically, you can't politicize land expropriation without compensation. As a black person, you understand that you are dispossessed, you are landless as we speak, and this is 2019. So therefore, when we say we want the land expropriated without compensation now, we mean it.
And then do what with it?
What we mean to do, when you have land, you have the mineral resources of the land. So only through land ownership can you then control the mineral resources with which you plow the land. So through the land, you are able to then use the mining resources to plow back into the state. And the state must be a state which is not captured. It must be a state which is fully functional and understanding of the fact that our people want to be serviced now. So when we talk about land expropriation without compensation, it's broader because it speaks to the mineral resources. How do we seek to work those mineral resources? The state must own the mineral resources, meaning that it will then give back to the industries, especially some that have been left to rot. So basically what we're saying is we want to focus on key areas and key strategic areas, which are banks, which are the mines, which are the mineral resources, and which are other strategic sectors such as the ocean economy of South Africa. So basically, we're not utilizing any of that because it's been outsourced. So that's what we're saying when we want land now and we want jobs now. And that's not sloganeering. That's actually basically speaking about the truth of what we're sitting with as we speak. We are sitting with a mess where young people aren't finding jobs. 35-year-old men unable to feed their families because of the state and how it's been led to rot at the moment.
Clarify for us your policy, the UDM's policy on land.
The United Democratic Movement, you will recall we are in Parliament, voted in favor of expropriation of land without compensation. Reason being that we know the history of this country. When Jan van Riebeeck arrived in this country, he did not come here with land. He came just by ship with other group of his. They acquired land in a manner that is illegal here in South Africa. And they expanded that land and it was shared among the minority.
What should be done now?
We are saying
Jan van Riebeeck took it and did whatever with it. What should be done now?
We are saying the land must be given to the people. Any land that is not used must be given to the people to utilize it for their own production so that they can live on the land. We are also
free of charge.
Because
given to everyone free of charge. Whoever wants, you give.
Let me answer you by saying, when you go to a municipality in the Eastern Cape, they will say we have got money for development, but we don't have land. Because the people who own land are somewhere in America and the US, some are here in the world countries. They are not using that land, but just give the title deed. And we want that land to be used for the development of our people. So they must get it free and then develop our people so that our people can stop being employed in the farms, but can be farmers themselves and own production that comes out of the farm.
Coke, your definitive position on the land question?
I think our position has always been clear. We said no to the amendment of Section 25 as the Congress of the People. We said no to expropriation of land without compensation as the Congress of the People. And these are the following reasons. Number one, land reform in this country is failing. The ANC might want to lie to us and say that they are doing it, but it's taking too long. Because if you have a problem now with people saying, we want land, we want this, we want that and the other, it's because the current government has failed to deliver. The second point is, the biggest question that we ask, that's been currently asked by different races and different cultures in this country today, is whose land is it anyway? Does it belong to the black community of South Africa, or does it belong to the Khoi and the
Who do you
San?
think it belongs
It
to?
belongs to all who live in it, black, white,
Which means
colored,
what exactly? So
everyone.
what should happen though?
Everyone.
What should happen? How do we address the land issue? You've said everything about what you believe is wrong with the way things have been done up until now. So what needs to happen?
Acceleration
tomorrow?
of land reform.
How?
By ensuring that the processes are not too long. Currently, the processes take too long, where documentation of generations and generations is required. Some of us don't have that documentation.
Okay, if the processes are shortened, what will you do?
Once you get the processes to be in line with what the people need, you then give them the skill that they want. Because some of them return and sell back the land because they don't have the skill to work it. Now the Congress of the People is saying to you, be given the skill in order for you to work the land that you so desperately require. Also, what we would like to point out as the Congress of the People, that it's a fallacy that land will be taken from only white people. As a matter of fact, if you look at the policy of the EFF, it says they will expropriate land from everyone, black and white, which effectively means that no one will own the land. Only the state will own the land. A corrupt state cannot own my property because I want to sell something to
Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying? Okay.
It says if you have a state that has capacity, what the EFF is saying that we want to expropriate all land without compensation under the custodianship of the state. But now, because you are so cultured in a state that is corrupt, because you are so used to a state that is looting, because you are so used to a state that is not giving back to you, you think that they cannot be done. It can be done. We've been taught that we can't get our own minerals because they have to be outsourced to outside people for them to plow back to us. It can't be.
Aldrin, last word from where you are.
Wow, what a quote there. Hey, a corrupt state cannot own my land. Something quite interesting. Can I just quickly do this, Vuyo? I know that we won't be able to answer these questions. But just a quick one from Umamfezeka. This is something that has been a debate that has been ongoing. Just quickly.
Thank you very much, sir. I just want to ask about the nationalization of mines. Since other people thought that they are going to to be in the forefront of the nationalization of mines. Now they are quiet. What do you intend to do, especially ANC in this? And the last one.
I'm sorry. We've run out of time. The political parties have to do their closing remarks. But that's the question, Vuyo. The nationalization of mines. Where does the ANC and the other political parties stand with regards to that?
Thanks, Aldrin. Well, I'm going to ask all of you to make your closing remarks. But as you make these remarks, I want you to remember a few things. If the examples we've seen in the Nelson Mandela Metro are anything to go by. All of you say you are anti-corruption. All of you say if you run this country and this province after the 8th of May, there are all these big and wonderful things that you'll be able to do for this province and for our country. Now, the fact of the matter is that in this part of our country, all of you have been involved at some point or the other in governing the region, and in particular, the Nelson Mandela Bay Metropolitan Municipality. You have been in charge only to be displaced. Right now, you are in a coalition with the UDM with the support of the EFF. At another point in history, you were leading the coalition, supported by the UDM, by the ACDP, and with the tacit support of the EFF as well. But as all of you know, things have gone horribly wrong and they aren't getting any better. A program that your party, together with them and a couple of others, executed only a couple of months ago, ended up with more than a dozen people dead and money that cannot be accounted for. In your closing remarks, therefore, I want you to talk about corruption. How you plan to eradicate corruption wherever you might be in or outside of government. And then secondly, whether you believe the relationships you keep forging as parties are in fact beneficial for the people out there, not yourselves as politicians or all of you as political parties. Corruption and coalitions.
Well, the African National Congress, today, we have raised the bar in terms of our support and strengthening of state security agencies. The president has made the call that the Hawks, the NPA, the SIU, all will be strengthened during this term of government. Further, any person, as part of our renewal, any person who is involved in corruption, law enforcement agencies are behind him or her. He or she must be arrested. Further, we do not defend and or protect individuals who are doing corrupt activities in all spheres of government. This African National Congress, which the voters continue to support and vote for, is, as part of its renewal, committed to root out corruption. We will ensure that in the sixth administration, we strengthen the firm hand on all the agencies that deal with corruption and law enforcement. That is what the ANC will do. The responsibility is within me and you. The victory for the ANC is a victory for all of us together to grow the economy.
Naba, and just before you answer, just before you have your final say, I want you to also remember what one member of the public said there, that you did have time. And what did you do with the time you had running the municipality? In the context of answering.
I can tell you, Vuyo, this man sitting next to me will testify on this. When the government, when we took it over, because of corrupt officials, Minister Sisulu took away the housing function. And when I was a human settlement MMC, I negotiated with her. Now in June, the housing function is going to be given back to them, taking it away from him. Vuyo, the ANC is corrupt to the core, and shame to them. Here, in the ANC caucus here, two criminals sit, Nombimba and Andile Irungisa, sit, they are proven by the court that they are corrupt. A corrupt mayor, Bobani, who steals from our people, who continue to destroy this city, continue to run it because of him and this one. And as a DA, what we have done, we went to the security forces to report Bobani. He's getting charged, he's going to get arrested. As we finish this man, he's going to jail. Bobani is going to jail.
Are you complicit in corruption?
No.
Well, certainly that's the allegation from the DA.
I want to read out cardinal pillar number 7 of the EFF before I go on. It says you want an open, accountable, corrupt-free government and society without fear of victimization by state agencies. Now, the EFF in Nelson Mandela Bay has 6 councillors out of 120 councillors. Those 6 councillors of the EFF were the same councillors who tabled a motion that would get rid of a very poor company called KPMG. We were the same 6 councillors that tabled a motion that would see in-source 840 security guards in the Nelson Mandela Bay. It was the same 6 through the Office of MPAC who uncovered 8 billion rands of irregular expenditure that was historical, done by the ANC without fear or favor. So the EFF in Nelson Mandela Bay, the EFF in South Africa, has no fear or favor. It does not favor one or the other, it favors the people. So this is a party one needs to vote for come the 8th of May in 2019.
She says, Mongameli Bobani, whom you've supported, is corrupt.
Come again?
He says, Mongameli Bobani, whom you've supported in the Nelson Mandela Metro, is corrupt. Do you believe he's corrupt?
We're not members of his party. We're not
But
members
you
of the party.
supported him.
If we have evidence of Mayor Bobani committing any crime, trust that the EFF will expose that. Trust that through the PwC export, we will expose him. We have no fear of him. We don't need any favors from him. We don't require anything from him.
Your party has watched as things unfolded here in Nelson Mandela Bay. You've had people leveling allegations, including the leader of the DA in this province, against Mongameli Bobani. Have you ever, as the leadership of your party, sat Mongameli Bobani down and said, we don't like these allegations that are being leveled at you? Can you come clean with us and tell us what exactly is going on so that we can then make a determination as to whether you are indeed as corrupt as it is being alleged? Have you done that?
In the first place, one, the issue of Mongameli Bobani was discussed when we were in a coalition with the Democratic Alliance. Anton Trolip asked the leaders of the DA, Musimaimane and Bandu Olomisa, to say there are allegations against Mongameli Bobani, and I want to investigate him. And we said, go ahead. Trolip appointed the PwC PricewaterhouseCoopers to investigate, spending millions of friends of the Nelson Mandela Metro. And that investigation by Trolip came with nothing, found nothing against Bobani. And it did not take it to the council to take that report even today. Thank you to the Herald of Port Elizabeth that leaked the report that cleared Bobani. Secondly, Bobani has never been formally charged for corruption. It is still perceived corruption. Because no one else, the UDM has opened its doors. We have opened our doors to say there's Mongameli Bobani. Anyone with evidence must go to the police, report the matter, and back off. But this matter is being championed by Anton Trolip, who is actually pursuing a personal vendetta against Bobani after he was deposed as the mayor of the Nelson Mandela Metro.
You've watched all of this unfolding. You were also part of the DA-led coalition. What do you make of what has happened in this metro?
Well, when we were in the coalition, it's
directed at me.
No, it's at 10. It's at 10. No, it's at 10, not yours. It's at 10.
Vuyo, can I just say, the current government in Nelson Mandela Bay keeps criminals in council. You have convicted criminals in our council, Nombiba Andile Lungisa, kept by the ANC, kept by the EFF, kept by the UDM. That's where we are in this city. But I'll tell you this, Vuyo, when we were in government with the other parties, we have managed as a city to get 200 million rands on top of the 200 million rands we got last year because of good spending. That's the legacy we are leaving behind as the Congress of the People in the Nelson Mandela Bay. But you know what? I actually expected from the ANC, they've got Ace Makhashule, they can't self-correct. I expected from the EFF because they've got VBS scandals. I expected from the UDM because Unjangele specializes in Mibuso. So I expect that. Now let me say, as the Congress of the People, I want to remind the people of Nelson Mandela Bay and the people of Eastern Cape that it's a fallacy that the EFF championed insourcing. Well, if they did, they must also take the responsibility. You know why? Because due to the insourcing process, we have security guards sitting at home not having jobs because of that process. Because now EFF is quiet all of a sudden. It's not going back to those people and say, we are going to give you jobs or we're going to find work for you. They have not been working since December. So let's not forget those points. The Congress of the People lives behind a good legacy, and one can only hope that the people of this province see Nelson Mandela Bay as an example of what could be
be if good governance is put back in the Eastern Cape and in our country. Thank you, Vuyo.
You have to answer this. You really have to answer this. It's an allegation that has been going on for years now. You are being led in the metro by a convicted criminal whom, if everyone sitting here has comments is anything to go by.
Who is that?
Andile Lungisa.
First of all, this is just a self-serving political posturing by my colleagues. The point we're making here is that if a person is alleged to have done something wrong, and that person goes to court and appeal, the presumption of innocence until proven guilty applies.
So Andile Lungisa is here to
that's
stay.
Why. The point we're making is that there's an appeal on the table. First, secondly, the people of Nelson Mandela must take this clarion call that as ANC government will not tolerate corruption or criminality, and therefore, if there's any individual
that's where we're going to
who is found to be wrong,
that
then law must take its course.
unfortunately is where we are going to leave it today. Thank you very much for watching. Do look forward to eNCA's fourth election debate. From me, Aldrin, and the rest of the team, goodbye.